Hello, everybody. What was supposed to have been a amazing night of talking about wrestling ended up becoming one of the biggest shocks we've heard in the last couple of years. So I want to make this very clear to everyone. This was meant to be a wrestling community hangout where we talk about wrestling, where we talk about AEW, all in London. It turns out what we're doing right now is we're going to be talking about what news just came out within the last half hour or so. The passing of the Eater of Worlds, Bray Wyatt. Thank you all for watching this video. I don't know how long I'm going to go with this. The stream is open, so if anybody wants to come in and just want to talk about it for a few minutes, or want to chat a little bit about it, it's probably best to just talk about the legacy that Bray Wyatt has had, even for the short amount of time he's been in the wrestling community. I remember first watching Bray Wyatt as Husky Harris of NXT. So when they started the whole NXT thing, it was a lot different than what you know today. NXT was very different. And it was meant to be more of a developmental with like a coach and, kind of like a competition type of show. And this was where we first got to meet the Eater of Worlds, Bray Wyatt. He was known as Wyndham Rotundo. Husky Harris, I think that was his name, but his real name is Wyndham Rotundo. He's the son of Mike Rotundo, the great Mike Rotundo, from that great tag team from the 80s. You may know Mike Rotundo as IRS or some other names he went by, but Bray Wyatt himself being the son of Mike Rotundo, as well as, if you guys can remind me in the chat, his brother, Bo Dallas. That's what I was thinking. So it is tragic to hear the news about the passing of Bray Wyatt. He passes away at the tender young age of 36, guys. 36 years old, man. So it's shocking to hear the news. I did know that he was sick, but I also heard that he was recovering. So I don't know what else to say about it. It's hard to say. I'm going to do my best to talk with everybody in the chat. And, like I said, this is open for anybody who wants to do. The streams are up. If you're interested in joining and just taking a moment to talk a little bit about it, you're welcome to. If you're welcome to just sit in the chat, that's fine with me. I honestly don't know how long I'm going to go with this. I wanted to go as long as I possibly can. But, because of all this stuff, I just don't know how much I could take personally of it. I decided to wear my my Miller shirt, the hardest part of the ring, the most devastating thing. So let me first go ahead and say hi to everybody in the chat. So starting with Kenneth Byrne, man. Hello, everyone, and welcome, Kenneth Byrne. Also, David, Comics and Wrestling, man. It's a hard thing to even believe it. It is extremely shocking to hear these news because, again, like I said, there was word that he was getting ready to come back, that he was coming back. There was excitement. People weren't sure how he would come back. But unfortunately, now he's not coming back. So, also, hey, Rosalo's heartbreaking for the fan. Absolutely. He leaves behind a newborn child. He was married to JoJo. They just had a child together. So the child I don't even know if the child's a year old or something. But they just had a child. So I know that much. Where do you get that? What's going on? Yeah. Yesterday, Terry Funk. Today, Bray Wyatt. Never good to hear the news, man. At least in Terry Funk's case, he lived a very long life. He had 60 years of wrestling. Bray, he was just at the peak. He was at the peak. He was on the top of the mountain. So much good stuff for him coming down the road. So yeah, it is tragic to see the news, and it's sad to see that even someone like Terry Funk is gone too. We'll talk a little bit about Terry too. Yeah, Dr. Von Dr. Von Hoot was going to join us in the chat, but because of the circumstances, he felt uncomfortable with it, and I totally respect that. Completely respect that from anybody who, for some people it helps to talk about these things. For some people it's helped to just, to stay off the scene for a little bit, and that's totally cool with me. I'm perfectly fine by that. The way I look at it, I had something to talk about. Now I have something else to talk about. And I want to take this time to just like give him the respect that he deserves. So Bray Wyatt does deserve that. Yeah, I really dig Husky back in the NXT. Yeah, Husky Harris was such a weird character, because he fit the name Husky Harris, right? So Husky Harris was this big dude. He was like real stocky fella. Didn't really talk. As crazy as it sounds, he didn't really talk much, especially with someone like complete opposite of what Bray Wyatt would end up becoming. He was someone of very few words. He wasn't really in shape, and but he had that. Of course, he had that legacy in him. He was, second, third generation wrestler, I believe. So yeah, Husky Harris, classic right there, right? All right, we got Lean Green Machine. What's going on? The fact that we went and transformed. Yeah, I agree. From Husky to Bray, he was the kind of guy that he was able to get a second chance. That doesn't normally happen in wrestling. You usually get one chance and that's it. In Bray Wyatt's case, he got a second chance and he rolled with it. And he made the best of it when he created this Bray Wyatt character, and then he reinvented the Bray Wyatt character after that. You gotta admit, he definitely was someone that extremely talented. He understood the business coming from a second generation approach. He understood what it means that, okay, this works, this doesn't work. But he also wanted to do things his way, which I always respected that about Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt was definitely one of those guys that if he did it his way, that's how it's done. So, yeah, there are many, many people that loved him, but none more. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. It's like, it's now time to think about the families involved. So our thoughts and prayers go out to the families. Even though now with his passing, Bo Dallas, we just lost Brody Lee about 2 years ago. Brody Lee, who was part of the Wyatt family. So the Wyatt family was amazing, and when I saw the Wyatt family, I knew there was something different about them. They had that whole cult atmosphere to them. Not everything was a hit, but man, when you would do the whole world in his hands with that program he did with John Cena, it was a program that should have worked, but it didn't work because they gave the benefit to John Cena instead of letting it roll with Bray Wyatt. The WrestleMania match that he had with John Cena, the Firefly Funhouse match, I still don't get it to this day. I still don't understand that match. I didn't understand what that match meant, or anything like that. However, it was different. It was something new. It was something creative. And again, it was something that when Bray was on fire, he was on fire. Even upon, when we knew he was coming back and the rumors started coming in, it wasn't like a kept secret, but it was secret enough that we felt that it was Bray Wyatt, but we didn't know it was Bray Wyatt. And unfortunately, we never had a chance to kind of like take advantage of that new version of Bray Wyatt. He came in, unfortunately, he got sick. They didn't disclose what exactly was the sickness. It turns out that it could have been something far more worse than we heard. And this news came out on the verge of us finding out that he was actually getting better and he was coming back. So there was actually words that he was making his return. So it's really hard to know exactly because they kept it so hush, and respectfully so. That it's their business. They don't have to share that information with us. It's none of our business. What they share with us, what they not. It's their right to make the decision to keep it silent. But unfortunately, it turns out that it probably was a lot worse than we knew. Unfortunately, so we got Collecting with Dirts just popped in to say hello. Not taking the news. Yeah, it's not easy news to hear, man. Beckerman, this might. I know it's officially that. No worry about it, Beckerman. We'll do the best of what we have in discussion. Like I said, if you guys are interested in jumping into the stream, you're more than welcome to jumping in the streams. Just hit me up in IG, and I could get you in. If you're part of our community groups, then obviously I left the stream there for you guys as well. Again, I don't know how long I could do this for if I'm by myself. But if someone wants to jump in, just let me know, and we can definitely talk some wrestling. I would love to take this opportunity to just talk about the importance of the legacy that Bray Wyatt leaves behind, because he did leave a legacy. There wasn't many people as influential as him from this era. Very special, very very special individual. This was one of those guys that you knew when he was in the scene, you knew it was important, you knew it was something to keep your eyes on. It wasn't about the wrestling for him, even though he was a great wrestler. I'll give him that much. He was one of those types of brawling types wrestlers. Whenever he did the backwards move, nothing really creative about the backwards move, the kind of like the spider exorcist position that he did. Nothing really special about that. It was creepy to see, and it worked. You know what I mean? So that was the case with that. Excuse me, guys. But yeah, so he shows up. He creates this new persona. I never had a chance to see the Wyatt family on NXT. I heard some good things about it, but it wasn't until they showed up into WWE mainstream that I really got a chance to see the Wyatt family. With Brody Lee and I can't, his name's escaping me, but when they made the scene, man, they were creepy. They were very creepy. This version of Bray Wyatt, Sister Abigail. The less we talk about Sister Abigail, the better. I don't know where they were going with that storyline, especially when we had the match with Finn Balor, the Demon versus Sister Abigail. I'm just thinking about it in my head now. It's just so funny looking at him dressed up in drag, trying to pull this off. I don't know what anybody was thinking about it. Let's see what David got to say. Got to get going cook dinner. Yes, thanks for the memories, Bray. His wife, yeah, against they were, yeah. Anything the Wyatt family had was awesome. Even when he was doing that thing with Alexa Bliss, I think it had a lot of potential, especially when she was going into that little girl mode. I think that was pretty cool. Yeah, I'm with you, Comic Verse. Still shocked to hear the news about Bray Wyatt. Rest in peace. It was crazy. NXT was a stripped down version. Yeah, exactly. So not much is said about the NXT version of Bray Wyatt because they saw so much potential so quickly that they just shot him up into the main roster. But that steel cage match that he had, the Fiend, let's not forget about the Fiend. Let's not forget about the Firefly Funhouse. Those vignettes with the Firefly Funhouse were genius. How someone we lost not that long ago, Pee Wee Herman. He took something out of Pee Wee Herman and turned it into something of his own in a very creepy, horror-filled way. It's crazy thinking about it now, but yeah, if you ever remember, the Firefly Funhouse was taken off of Pee Wee's Playhouse. It was his take on his version of a Pee Wee's Playhouse, and that version of Bray Wyatt was even more scarier than the cult leader, in my view, because there was something scary about it, something you didn't know about him. There was a mystery behind that character. So, that was very intriguing how they did it. I didn't like when he came out as that character, though. My personal opinion was that when he wrestled as that version of Bray Wyatt, it never really worked. It was under, Vince McMahon booking. So if you guys know Vince McMahon booking, it's not great. So it didn't work the way it should have worked. However, The Fiend was a character that was just scary. He won the title and he lost it in a very controversial way. I remember the steel cage match. I believe it was one of the Middle Eastern shows. It was the Saudi Arabia show. Great. What timing to get clickbait? Sorry, block. I got clickbait. How you get that clickbait for something like this? That's just terrible. So he comes out with this during this match with Seth Rollins, out of all people, and he had this match with Seth Rollins. They turned the cage red. It was a Hell in a Cell match, and it was not what it should have been. This is one of those things where with Bray Wyatt in his, the character that was being created was meant to be an indestructible character. They didn't make it indestructible. And as a result of that really bad booking on the part of WWE, he actually was released. And he was gone for a while. He was gone for a good while. I remember when they announced his release, it was a bit of a shocker because he was one of the top merch sellers. And, after a while, enough, McMahon's gone. Triple H makes the decision to bring people back. And among them were Bray Wyatt. And when we heard the news about Bray, everybody was excited to see what he had in store. And then we had this, we ended up having this really cool, build, right? Okay, what's going on there? I don't know what's going on. We got like a whole bunch of the same files here. Brawl Smackdown. I don't know what that's about. The blood. I remember the blood sacrifice, but Wrestling Exposed TV. You guys got like 1,000,000,001 text messages popping in here. I wonder what's going on here. So let's put you on timeout for now. To hear everything that's happening, both the Wyatt family, the Fiend was wonderfully portrayed and matched at that, even if it wasn't booked well. Yeah, I agree. It was, even after all that, it was still good. You know what I mean? And we still wanted it. It wasn't a situation where it was like, this is terrible, this is bad. It was a situation like, we know it's good. We know it had potential. You're the ones that are making it bad because you didn't see the potential. You didn't see the growth. You didn't see what we want to see. You just wanted to do things your way. And I think Bray Wyatt was one of those victims of, he was too good for the business. You know what I mean? And that's sad because the possibilities that was left behind the table. He was the top merch seller. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't crazy about that title belt. I think that title belt was kind of weird looking. I knew it sold like hotcakes. That's one thing I remember. It was a belt that sold like hotcakes. But just knowing that he was coming back, just the idea of his return, the White Rabbit, when he came back with all the different puppets and things like that. And he was just a creative guy. He was a creative genius. He was married to JoJo. For those of you who don't know, JoJo was a ring announcer. I think she did a little bit of wrestling, if I'm not mistaken. They had a child together, and everything seemed fine. And then we hear these news. His last match was with none other than someone that is red, white, hot right now. And that's LA Knight. Right before I was watching, when I heard the news that as I was getting ready for the stream, I was telling a friend of mine about LA Knight and, how LA Knight has this Stone Cold meets The Rock persona matched into one. But he was his last guy, and it's kind of fitting when you think about it in that way. It's kind of surreal now that you're looking back at it, that Bray Wyatt, who to many people was considered the next biggest thing, was now followed by what's considered the next biggest thing now in LA Knight. And what was great was, even though that feud didn't work the way it probably should have worked, they both made it work, if you know what I mean. Like, LA Knight came out of that much better. Bray Wyatt disappeared. He was going to his next program, which was going to be with Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania, and unfortunately he got sick, and we didn't know much. Bobby Lashley unfortunately didn't get that match. It was supposed to be Bobby Lashley, or I think it was supposed to be Roman Reigns. It was between one of those two, if I remember. But unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be, and that was the last we've seen of Bray. We didn't hear anything. We then heard that he was sick, that he was ill. We heard that he was gravely ill, and unfortunately, I guess it got to him even now. That's right, Luis. Bray Wyatt was Husky Harris part of the Nexus. He was definitely part of the Nexus. Not memorable, I think just Husky Harris himself was memorable. And what's going on, Trev, the shipping guru? Rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. Another guy that I'm not talking about, to just go off a little bit off of Bray Wyatt. Another person that passed away was Terry Funk. Terry Funk from the Triple Cross Ranch in Amarillo, Texas. Um, talking about legend. Terry Funk was for six. He had a career that ranked 60 years in the business, guys. That's the kind of stuff that doesn't happen in wrestling. One in a million type of wrestling persona. He could play the baby face. He could play the heel, and in both occasions he could do both. So with Terry Funk, I remember seeing him when he was a good guy and how you actually love him. You felt this sort of empathy because he was kind of like he was kind of like your from the corner kind wrestling. He was just this guy. He was just like one of the guys. But when he turned that villain persona on, whew, he was a bad guy. And I think about Bray Wyatt, and I think about how Bray Wyatt kind of fit that mold in a way, where even though he was a villain, he was still people still loved him. People still cheered him. He was just one of those guys that it didn't matter if he was a hero or villain. You still like him. And I'm with you, man. We lost Terry and Bray in 2 days. It's insane, man. But yeah, two guys that, though their styles were definitely different from each other, I'll admit to that much, but they had similarities in that way, where in Bray's case, didn't matter if he was a good guy or a bad guy, you liked him. In Terry Funk, didn't matter if he was a good guy or a bad guy, you still liked him. And when he was a villain, he was a villain. And in Bray's case, when he was a villain, he was definitely a villain. Classic matches. I think he was one of John Cena's best villains, especially towards the latter end of John Cena's career. I do believe there was missed opportunities. I do believe Bray Wyatt should have been the guy to dethrone The Undertaker. That was something that should have gone to Bray, my personal opinion. Bray should have been the one to go to the next level because he was the next supernatural guy. In wrestling, there are some characters that are considered the supernatural wrestlers, Undertaker being one of them as well. Undertaker being the Phenom. I remember when they were doing that program with Undertaker, and everybody was thinking that Bray could have been that guy. And Bray, to be completely honest, Bray should have been that guy. Bray Wyatt was one of those guys that if he would have defeated The Undertaker, no one would have had a problem with that. Yes, of course, it would have been a shocker, like when Brock did it. But if Bray would have done it, it would have made sense for the business. Undertaker moves on. We have the next guy to take over his mantle, not so much replacing Undertaker, but pretty much taking the spot that was devoted to the Undertaker. And Undertaker even recognized that afterwards. When Undertaker came into the ring with Bray Wyatt and he spoke to Bray Wyatt, you knew it was Undertaker saying, "This is your doghouse now," as he would say, "This is your house," and it's his yard, as it says. Not Roman Reigns, not any of those guys. Those guys are more the polished wrestlers. Bray wasn't a polished wrestler. Bray was never intended to be a polished wrestler. Bray wasn't much of a wrestler, to be completely honest with you guys. He was a brawler. And as a brawler, that's why the name Husky Harris existed. But as a brawler, he was meant to just pound you, beat you down. That's a side of wrestling that a lot of people love. It's a side of wrestling that we kind of miss today. There's not that many brawling types. There's a lot of high flyers, and everybody wants to be a high flyer. Bray wasn't that. Bray was not a high flyer. Bray didn't need to be a high flyer. All Bray needed to be was a mouthpiece, right? He was definitely a leader in the pack. Whoever was with him excelled. Braun Strowman was a good example of that. When Braun Strowman made the scene, he was just another big dude. Under Bray Wyatt, he was able to excel. Daniel Bryan's a good example as well. Daniel Bryan, who's now Bryan Danielson, when he was doing his program with Bray Wyatt and he joined the Wyatt family, we kind of knew it wasn't going to last long. We didn't know it was going to last 2 weeks, but it worked. It was working. It could have gone a little further, but it didn't, unfortunately. And again, Bray was just one of those guys. Everybody he was with was doing well, even though it didn't probably end well. It was still well because that meant all eyes was on your feud. So anybody he was feuding with, it meant something. That's the type of character Bray Wyatt was. Bray Wyatt was the type of character whoever he was feuding with, excel that person because that person ends up being elevated, right? They're getting pushed more in a main event status as opposed. So Bray was one of those guys didn't need a title, even though he did get a title, he didn't need it. He didn't have to be one of those champions. He didn't need a belt to excel his stardom. He didn't need a belt to be a main eventer. That's the type of person Bray Wyatt was. So again, if you're just tuning in, we just heard the news now that Bray Wyatt has passed away. The word came from Triple H himself, Paul Levesque, and he's announced it that he passed unexpectedly. So let me just go ahead and read what they said here. This is coming Fox News out of all places. WWE superstar Bray Wyatt, whose real name is Wyndham Rotunda, has died. WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque announced on social media Thursday. Wyatt was 36, man. 36, such a young age, man. Just received a call from WWE Hall of Famer Mike Rotunda, who informed us on the tragic news that our WWE family member for life, Wyndham Rotunda, also known as Bray Wyatt, unexpectedly passed earlier today. Levesque wrote on X, Twitter, the company formerly known as Twitter, our thoughts are with his family, and we ask that everyone respects their privacy at this time. The news of Wyndham's death was a shocking and devastating revelation as a report surfaced early this month that the former champion was nearing a return to the ring after battling a life-threatening illness. Unfortunately, guys, I don't think, I hate to say it, but yeah, there was word that he was making his return. What Wyatt was dealing with was not made known. Pro wrestlers and fans send their condolences across media. So we see Triple H's. Alexa Bliss, who worked with Bray Wyatt, she just wrote, Justin shocked, really at a loss for words at the moment. Matt Hardy, who was actually doing a pretty cool program with Bray Wyatt. I thought they were getting to that point where they did a couple of matches together. Absolutely shattered to learn that my friend Wyndham Rotunda has passed away. It's devastating to think he left us at only 36 years young. My condolences go out to his family, wife, and children. I'm so sorry, my commandeer. Miss you already. All right. Big E, someone who we haven't seen in a long time. Man, the first dude that took me under his wing when I signed in 2009. We spent so much of our adult lives together praying for JoJo, praying for his kids. I will miss you. I will miss your laugh and your boyish charm, my friend. Goodbye, Wyndham. That was from Big E. Dana Brooks says, I'm in a loss of words. My heart aches for Wyndham's family. Rest in peace, Bray. All right, so back in October, Wyatt had made a return to WWE in one of the most mysterious build-ups the companies had done in a while. Yeah, that was the White Rabbit storyline was awesome. Unfortunately, it didn't go with. You had the White Rabbit, you had the mystery QR codes, and other messages appeared in WWE programs leading up to Wyatt's eventual return at Extreme Rules. The hints pointed towards his return about 15 months since he was released in July 2021. Wyatt's Fiend character was among the favorite programs that WWE ran in recent years. WWE was able to make the character thrive through the height of the coronavirus pandemic, and he was put into epic feuds with John Cena and Randy Orton. That's right, his matches with Randy Orton, that house that went on fire, if you remember that match, that was crazy. I remember that match. That was nuts. Wyatt's cult leader character was also well received when it began in 2013. Wow, 2013. That was 10 years ago, guys. Would you believe that? However, Wyatt was released on July 31st, 2021. His release marked an end of a 12-year run at WWE. After his return on the Premium Live event, Wyatt cut a heartfelt promo thanking fans for welcoming him back and helping him through the tough times after his release. I'm incredibly grateful. I'm really, really nervous to be here. I never thought this would happen, Wyatt said. This right here, this is just me okay. This is a version of me I never got to introduce to you guys before. This is just me being me, genuine me for the first time. um, Wyatt explained at the time that over the last year, he lost a lot of friends and the things in his life. Um, I lost my career. I lost my self confidence. I lost two people who were very, very close to me. I lost my way, he said. And I got a point where I thought that everything that I've ever done here or otherwise, it was all meaningless. Nothing I've ever did has ever mattered to anyone, and I was wrong. Yeah. Yes. Rest in peace. My son loved Bray. Yeah. A lot. My daughter loved Bray Wyatt. Every time the Firefly Funhouse would come out, she would hear the music of the Firefly Funhouse. Here's a kid who, at first, she was scared of it when it first came out because obviously, but then she kind of embraced it and she fell in love with it. She was like, she would hear the music and she would just run to watch it. It was crazy. It was nuts to see that. It's just again I mentioned that his last program was with LA Knight, who is, like I said, he's soaring. Yeah. Let me just continue reading here. Once I was done feeling sorry for myself, I decided to go out in the world again and see people everywhere that would say, "Thank you, Bray Man." When you're coming back home, and then every once in a while, there will be someone I will meet that will truly be remarkable, and you know who you are. But these people, they will come to me. They will come to me and they will say, "Bray, I just wanted to thank you, man, because I was in a time of need and I lost people that were close to me. I lost my self-confidence. I felt weak. I felt vulnerable. And in this weekend state, I found your words. Bray, I found your words. I just wanted to thank you, man. You saved my life, Bray." Just crazy. Wow. I'm shocked he was the best. Yeah, he really was, Brian. He really, really was. It's just crazy. Truth is, I don't think about stuff like that. And the thing about that is that I can sit here right now today and I could look at all of you in the eyes and I could say that you were there when I was weak, when I was vulnerable, when I was down. I was just wanting to say thank you. You all saved my life. It's crazy. Wyatt's feud with LA Knight, which culminated in pitch black match. Yeah, the pitch black match. Oh, let's not even go there. At Royal Rumble, he was set to start a program with Bobby Lashley before he reportedly felt ill. He was angled for a September return before his unexpected death. That's from Fightful Select. Wyatt had two daughters with his ex-wife and a son with his fiance. So he was with JoJo. Apparently, I thought they got married, but it appears that they didn't. His father, Mike Machado, was known as IRS, Irwin R. Scheitzer. Rest in peace, Bray Wyatt, man. You will definitely be missed. Your legacy continues. I'm hoping and praying, just, to be completely honest, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to change anything, but I'm assuming that he will be honored in a Hall of Fame ceremony in some way, because he's a Hall of Famer. The little amount of time he's spent, he was a Hall of Famer already. Yeah, DVH, I'm with you, man. That pitch black match was something. I felt like, I'm reading Night Terrors, and the covers with the Night Terrors with the glow lights. That's exactly what that match was. Shout out to Bo Dallas too, man. You got to give it to Bo Dallas. He came back. He was released as well, and that's the type of person Bray Wyatt is. That he brought his brother back. He didn't have to. He really didn't have to, and some people don't do that. Bray Wyatt was able to bring his brother back to do something. Um, who knows what the future holds for Bo Dallas? Who knows if Bo Dallas will return in some way? I'm hoping that he would, at least to kind of continue the legacy if possible, or or just let the legacy go with Bray. Either way, you know, Bray Wyatt is definitely someone that deserves the honor of being a Hall of Famer. He is a Hall of Famer in my eyes, and I honestly believe he will be honored as a Hall of Famer. Um, it's just such a shame that we still he hasn't even scratched the surface of the potential he was going to go. Even though he was already in superstar status. Yeah, I'm with you, DVH man. Hall of Fame all day. He does the more that this. Yeah, he doesn't deserve it more. Even he was a Hall of Famer already. He was the type of guy that his legacy was strong enough that he could do it. He was definitely Hall of Famer. He already achieved everything that you needed to achieve because he did achieve winning a world title. I'm not sure if he's ever been a tag team champion, but the Wyatt family did hold the tag team titles. I know that much. I guess he gets to hang out with Brody Lee. You know what I'm saying? Him and Brody Lee could start the Wyatt family somewhere else, wherever they are. So that'd be kind of cool. You know what I mean? But it is, with great, with a heavy heart, I have to say, thank you, Bray Wyatt, for everything you've given us. Thank you, the Wyatt family, for everything you've given us. Also, thank you, Terry Funk, for your time. As a wrestling fan myself, I've been watching wrestling as long as I can remember, guys. I cannot tell you what was the first match I ever watched. How's that? I can tell you who the first wrestlers I watched, and Bray was definitely something special. So, I'm gonna, again, this stream is open if anybody wants to talk a little bit. I see that we're still talking, we're still chatting in the chat room. You're more than welcome to chat in the chat room. But if you guys want to stop by and say what's up and tell us how type of person he is, let me know. Sean, so you're the same age as Bray Wyatt? Yeah, 36 is a young age, man. So take care of yourself, Sean. It's I'm a little older than that. I'll say that much, but 36 is such a young age, man. It's funny to think that Bray Wyatt was born when the Attitude Era began. Think about that, guys. For those of you who go back to the Attitude Era, that's when he was born, guys. The Attitude Era is something that I remember like it was yesterday. I would love to talk about AEW All In. I think it's going to be an awesome card. I am looking forward to a lot of those matches. He had one kid with JoJo. He had two other kids with his ex-wife. So he was engaged. It would appear he was engaged with JoJo, and he leaves behind two daughters, and he has a son with JoJo. So he actually leaves behind three kids. The prayers go out to the family, the children, JoJo, the Rotundos, everybody involved in the Wyatt family, the Rotundo family, as they're actually called. Mike Rotundo's no slouch himself, man. He was awesome, and stuff. So it's hard. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. But I want to just take this time to thank you all for watching. I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast now. I think for what it's worth, for the time that we spent together, the time we chatted, I wish this was. I wish we didn't have to have this, to be completely honest with you. Instead, I would have wished we would have started this wrestling community hangout a little bit differently. But these things happen. This is something we call life, guys. And take a moment, say thank you to your loved ones. Give them all the love you can, because you never know when it's going to be your last day. Honestly, I got $2 myself. I'm married to a beautiful woman, and I make sure I tell them every day I love them. I tell them every day that they're important to me. I tell them every day that I care for them and I want to do everything possible for them. I want to do the same thing for your family, those that you love, those that you care about. So with that said, guys, I'm gonna leave this plane for a little while. And I'll just go ahead, and if you leave your comments, I'll go ahead and put them on the screen just so you guys take a moment and pay respect to a great one. We lost the great one today in Bray Wyatt. But I think the legacy he leaves behind is going to be huge. There's already been a void that has happened, but let's take this moment, just thank Bray for his, everything he's done, and let's put our thoughts and prayers to the family, the Rotundo family, at this time. I'm going to leave the stream open for a little bit, so you guys could leave your comments if you like to. And then from there, I'm going to close it out. Thank you for your time, guys. Wow. I wish I could put more stuff. I could do it. But, unfortunately, I can't anymore. So thank you for everything. I appreciate your time with us. Excelsior.